Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It is nice to sleep that one off, isn't it? The Canadiens lose 9-2 to the Pittsburgh Penguins. And I know the first question you're asking, and yes, I did shave, actually. First time in a long time. All right, so that was a game to forget for the Montreal Canadiens. Now, the first question I posed in the title of this video, and we're not going to talk terribly long about this game because what's the point? Although there were more good than bad for the first two periods, at least somewhat, I thought. Anyway, what is the story of this season, or what is the theme of this season? We know from the media narrative and the fans' narrative, it's been the whole in the mix thing. It's been said exhaustively. And technically, the Canadiens aren't even still out of it. If you want to get technically speaking, just before last night against Pittsburgh, they were 5 points out of a wild card position. So what is this season really about? That's the question I want to know, or the answer I want to know, because I'm not so sure I know what that is other than more development for our future core, our Slavkovskys, our Suzukis, Caulfields, Gooley, Jack-Eye, Kirby Dach, Patrick Laine. Should he decide to stay after next year? Lane Hutson. So I guess we'll start with the main positive from this game, maybe the only positive from this game, which was Lane Hutson's performance and the shift that he had, that extended play basically all on his own. It didn't result in like a goal, but just the effort, the compete, what we saw from Lane Hutson on that shift, which came in the first period. The Canadiens just were trying to keep the puck deep, and Lane Hutson basically did that, not completely all on his own, but he pretty much did most of the work on his own. And at the end of that shift, the Bell Center was cheering. And that's what they do. They reward you for good play, right? So that's really one of the only positives we saw from that game was his performance. And it's interesting because you got to think the Canadiens opened the scoring in this game. It was Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield coming down on a partial break. Cole gets it over, and Cole picked off the puck going the other way, by the way, and got it over to Nick, and he comes in and wraps the backhand in. And those two are still, after their snubs from the Four Nations face-off, are having a pretty decent season, almost a point per game pace for Nick Suzuki for sure, and Cole is not that far behind. So, and Lane Hutson does happen to have 19 assists. Now, this was Patrick Laine's fifth game with the Montreal Canadiens. Now, what I am noticing on the power play, though, is that they're looking for Patty now a little too much. It's becoming a bit predictable. They know that Patrick Laine has the shot. Cole Caulfield's also got a good shot. But now, after we've seen Patrick Laine score 3 goals in 5 games, plus a shootout winner, he's got the shot. So they keep trying to get him the puck, but now I think they're becoming a bit too predictable on the power play with Laine on it. They've got to move it around and be a bit more deceptive the way they were the first few times he scored. So that's my thoughts on that. Sam Montembeault was, I thought, having a pretty decent game, and things obviously went against him. But if we look at this, I mean, of course, we know Brian Rust gets the hat-trick goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins in the third period, and it was a gimme goal, too. This is after Montembeault was pulled as a mercy pull from the Canadiens, and Primo came in. But it's just disappointing, and that's what Martin St. Louis said. Stu Cowan asked him after the game, are you angry, or were you angry at any point in the game about what was happening? And he said, no, I was more disappointed. It's a good thing that the Canadiens don't have Patrick Roy as a coach, because the Islanders beat the Blackhawks last night, and Patrick Roy was still all over his team about the way they played in front of their goaltender. So, thank goodness for the Canadiens' sake that Patrick Roy is not their coach right now, because I don't know if they would have made it this far in the season. They would have been ripped on way too many times. So back to the question of the video here, and that is, what is this season about? Because we've seen the Canadiens get blown out 6-2, 7-2, 8-2, now 9-2. All of these scores have happened to the Canadiens. It's been 5-6 times now they've been blown out. I was at one of those blowouts where the Canadiens just flushed the game in the second period against Vegas. 5 goals in the second period alone, 3 goals, 4 goals within like 4 or 5 minutes. So this one's pretty embarrassing because they were down 3-2. They were down 3-2 going into the third period after Yoel Armia got the second goal in the second period. That means that the Pittsburgh Penguins scored 6 goals in the third period alone. Defensively, that's the biggest problem right now. Mike Matheson got walked by rust earlier in the second period there. That just didn't look good. There were some skilled plays. Brian Rust's second goal was a skilled play from Sidney Crosby, through the legs pass. Sid is amazing. You can't even. I like them. I've always liked them. So 6 goals in the third period defensively, and Montreal's top defenseman Mike Matheson gets walked. I mean, when that's happening, that just takes a wind out of your sails for the entire defense corps, it seems like. But on the one goal where they went up, what was a 4-2? I think it was Chris Letang's goal, or maybe it was Anthony Beauvillier's goal. There was at least twice where 2 Pittsburgh forwards or defensemen were by themselves in front of the net, just putting it into the net with almost no defensive coverage. They're still very lost in their own end. So that's really the theme of this season, really, is defensive woes, I think. If I'm looking for an answer, it's really having to realize that they got to fix their defensive end. They have to fix their blue line, because it's really bad. It's been really bad for a good portion of this season. So what do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. Is this game taking the wind out of your sails? The Canadiens are still technically only about no less than 6. Let's even look at the standings really quick, just to be 100% sure after this loss, as we go into Winnipeg, by the way. Yeah, that's interesting. So in a wild card position right now, the Canadiens have 25 points and Philadelphia has 32. So now the Canadiens are officially 7 points out of a wild card position, and the Philadelphia Flyers and Tampa Bay Lightning hold on to those 2 wild card spots as we speak. So what are your thoughts down below? What is this season about for you? What's this about for you this season as a Montreal Canadiens fan, seeing the losses pile up, seeing the bad losses pile up? Last year, it was 1-goal games. We were in a whole bunch of 1-goal games. The year before that, pure development, tank for a top pick, and the same thing pretty much the season before, because they tanked whether we wanted them to or not, and then the whole front office got revamped. So what is this season about? It was supposed to be progress, but it's not progress so far, at least not on the blue line. Let me know your thoughts below, guys. Thanks so much. See you soon.